All the concerns going into the election about the e-voting machines, the electronic voting, not having a paper trail. We're not really recording any problems or significant problems.
Most newscasters continued to ignore reports of vote switching, while concerned activists used the internet to bring attention to the issue.
John Kerry. Hello, John Kerry. Maybe next? Are you sure? Yes. Yes. Yes, I'm really, really sure. You don't want to not vote for John Kerry? No. John Kerry. Oh, come on. John Kerry. Okay, maybe I want to vote for George Bush. John Kerry! Ah. Come here, you little John Kerry. Come here, you little What? No!
In more than 90% of vote-switching reports, votes cast for John Kerry switched on the screen to George Bush.
There should be an expectation that the anomalies would fall kind of 50-50. Some would support one candidate, some would support the other candidate. They didn't seem to fall both ways.
It's simply impossible to validate what happens inside certain electronic voting and counting machines.
So one of the ways of checking what's actually happening in this sort of black box vote counting system, where it's sort of faith-based voting and you don't know really what's happening, would be exit polling.
A person comes out of the polls, and there's somebody there, and they say, "Could we interview you?" Mm-hmm. And what they do is they give them a ballot, basically, and they fill it in.
Exit polls are powerful when done right because they tell us the demographics of voting, the attitudes of voting. That's the stuff that we really come to depend on.
For the 2004 election, a consortium of broadcast networks hired a polling firm, Edison Mitofsky. Interviewers were stationed at 1,480 randomly selected voting sites across the country to gather information.
There are safeguards in place now. We will be much more careful, we know, as we go throughout the evening tonight, in part because the software is better, the computers are better, and also the analysis will be better.
In spite of Edison Mitofsky's effort to withhold results until the polls closed, during the day, early exit poll data was leaked to the public and published on the internet. The leaked data revealed that in critical states, sometimes called battleground or swing states, Kerry was ahead in the exit polls in 10 of the 12 swing states.
Every time there were percentages put up there, Kerry was definitely ahead and had the momentum. It was like, he's going to win.
The states we could project for Illinois, John Kerry wins that state as expected. He wins Connecticut as well as expected. The District of Columbia, there was never any doubt there. New Jersey, a big win for John Kerry.
According to the Washington Post, early evening exit polls pointed to a decisive win for Kerry. Those exit polls showed Kerry holding a lead in states that totaled 309 electoral votes, with Bush's tally totaling 174. After voting sites closed, exit polls being released on the internet showed Kerry ahead, as he had been earlier in the day. During the evening, a discrepancy appeared between the exit polls and the official tallies. The official tally, as it was being reported by the broadcast media, showed Bush running much stronger than he had been doing in the exit polls.
Those exit polls showing a Kerry win in Florida, those exit polls showing perhaps a Kerry win in Ohio, and in several other states that have already been called a Kerry margin very different from what the actual results are showing. So what the Bush campaign believes now is that the exit polls were flawed.
When there's a difference between exit poll data and the vote count, the exit poll company mathematically adjusts the poll numbers to match the official tally. Between 10:30 and 11 p.m., Edison Mitofsky's computer server had gone down, and and the exit poll numbers remained unadjusted for several hours. As a result of this temporary unintended freeze, election observers were able to download the unadjusted exit poll numbers, showing Kerry still in the lead.
I went on the CNN website, and lo and behold, there were all these exit polls broken down in all sorts of various demographic ways, and I set about downloading them.
So we're looking at the exit polls, and the exit polls clearly showed that John Kerry carried Ohio, which was enough to give him an election, and Iowa, and Nevada, and New Mexico.
I've been on the phone to some Republicans in Ohio, and they're very pessimistic.
20 minutes now, 25 minutes after the polls closed, African Americans were still waiting in line in predominantly black precincts.
Looking at the returns, they think it's going to be very tough for President Bush to carry Ohio.
They know they need Ohio. That is now the central focus for the rest of this night, or at least the next few hours.
Until 12:21 a.m., Kerry was still leading, according to the exit polls. The first indication that the apparent Democratic victory might not happen as projected had come around midnight, when ABC, CBS, CNN, and Fox News all called Florida for Bush.
And then something happened where the next time it was put on the screen, the percentages and the numbers, it was exactly flipped.
In the early morning hours, when the backup server reconnected and exit poll adjustments resumed, observers watched a dramatic shift. From that point on, exit polls now mirrored the vote count and projected George Bush as the winner. Bush took the lead in the national popular vote as Kerry's projected wins in key states were disappearing.
If you were to look on the internet any time after roughly 1 a.m., you would see exit poll results which essentially conformed to the vote count. The results that got pulled off the web and pulled away from the public eye that I was able to download and print out showed a discrepancy in the popular vote that was very, very significant.
Very close race, could still go either way. What's the mood there? Confident, John. The president is thrilled he will be leading the country for the next few years.
It's a little early to say he will be. The numbers really aren't in yet.
The numbers. John, this is not a man who is going to let the numbers stand in the way of moving America forward.
There's also a growing dissatisfaction, even anger with us in the media. And it seems as if he wants the stamp of legitimacy.
All these states are coming in red, blue, red, blue, red, red, blue, blue, and now it's just Ohio. We're waiting on Ohio.
What we're going to give you is a solid tabulation when we give it to you. If it takes 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 weeks, the result that we give you will be a good result that the voters of the state of Ohio can have confidence in.
At about 2 a.m., MSNBC called the vote, and we were dumbfounded. We knew that there were people still voting, that they were still online to vote, that there were 9 to 15-hour waits that were still happening, and they were calling the vote. And I couldn't believe this. I was shocked.
Among the last tallies added to Ohio's totals were 92,000 votes from Warren County. According to the Cincinnati Enquirer, while those votes were being counted, the media and other observers were locked out of the county administration building. The Enquirer, which is a respected local paper with a conservative perspective, reported that the lockout was in response to an alleged terror threat. During the week following the election, after doing their own investigation, the Enquirer reported that both Homeland Security and the FBI denied that they had issued that warning. Votes from Warren County were among those which gave George Bush his last-minute, unanticipated margin of victory in Ohio.